All right. Sometimes like I look back on the me from like age, I don't know. I look back on the old me and I just like am so sad. I just want to cry. I want to like cringe. I just feel like sad for the person that I was, and I just feel sad thinking about how lost I was and how like little I thought of myself, and it makes me cringe for sure. Just thinking about like, my God, all of the power that I gave to like these shitty men, like such shitty guys, shitty boys, like shitty fuck boys, all of them. I just like, I gave them so much of like control. Um, and I cringe thinking about the guys, and like my heart breaks like thinking about just being homeless and being like a sex worker and just living in like some rundown, like best case scenario, like a rundown apartment where like I don't even have electricity because I can't afford electricity, and like you have to like steal food to eat if you want to eat that day. It's just like living so rough. And for so long, I thought, like I said in other videos, I didn't get into hard drugs until I was 21. But from like really my first boyfriends, like my first little puppy love at 14, like 14 to 21, I just gave so much, like everything I had of myself to like the person I was dating. And then from 21 to 34, it was like the drugs of love, codependency, toxic relationships, and, actual like substances and hard drugs and needle dope and whatever I could fit in a syringe, right? Um, and at the time, no matter what drug, like I said, love, dope, or just the drug of chaos, at the time I was like, I had such an explanation, and it kind of like made sense. And, but it was like justifiable because I was in love, or because, like I said before too, I did drugs because what else was I going to do? I was like just so unhappy trying to do like what other people told me I should do or what was expected of me. I was like really terribly just internally unwell. I was incredibly unhappy, but I didn't know what to do with myself, and I didn't feel like I could do anything. So it all like was like justifiable for years and years. And now that I've actually like learned so many lessons and like had this personal growth, and I think I've also like had a spiritual awakening. I didn't know what to call it exactly, but I think like a lot of people after 2020, the pandemic kind of coincided with the earlier half of my sobriety. um and I think a lot of people just kind of saw like, you know, I'm not talking about people that are like, oh, well, I don't know. I fucking hate politics, and I really don't like want to go down that road at all. But there are people, like I've said before, that are just going to like have their head in the sand, willfully. And there are people that are going to have their head in the sand and not even know their head's buried. But there are a lot of people, self included, that are like, wait a second, this doesn't add up. And Carl Jung said, is it Young or Jung? The first psychology professor I ever had, I remember she was like, it's spelled Jung, but it's pronounced Young. But then I've heard it kind of like have like a soft J, like Carl Jung or something. But anyway, Carl Jung said, like, to paraphrase, if you want to know someone's like motive or intention, look at the result and take it from there. Look at the result, infer from there, go from there. Like I said, that's a really loose, definitely paraphrasing. And I just look at 2020 personally, and I'm like, okay, the result is Nothing else, just the result of the largest upward transfer of wealth in human fucking history. And that's like, oh shit, coincidence, wink wink. I don't think so. That's like impossible as a coincidence. So anyway, it wasn't like even the pandemic. I think it was just kind of a more personal thing of a spiritual awakening, where I was seeing like all of these systems are just like, to their core, corrupt, rotten, and trash filled, hate filled lies. And I just have like no faith in these institutions. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't have any faith in all of the poison that I loved for so long, for 30 years. I loved like unhealthy food, and for 20 years I loved toxic codependent relationships, and like, male or female, whatever. Just, if it was chaotic, it was for me. And for 13 years I had an IV drug problem. So everything I put my faith in is like, this is trash, and it's like, holy shit. And there are moments, I'm not one to dwell, and like I actually just touched on in my last video, I don't have regrets. I'm not one to like dwell with the regret. I guess I'm kind of fortunate in that way, because I would have a shit ton of regrets if I was one to dwell on them, but I'm not, because I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm awake, and I love myself, and that is like so much more than so many people can say, so I'm just lucky that I'm alive and got a chance to say that. People that don't even touch a drug, and they die every day, in quiet desperation, right? And just going through the motions. People die all the time, like miserable, unhappy, unfulfilled. So I'm really fortunate that I was able to get to this point with my life intact. But it's like everything I believed in, whether it was like structural, societal, like institutional, or it was, deadly. Everything I believed in and like poured my soul into and followed, like to and over the cliffs in many cases, was a lie, And when I get like stuck thinking, that shame of like my past, especially with having so many ramifications, being a drug felon, you're stigmatized, being a sex worker, being a homeless female, in a fucking podunk town, who was like, from a good family and supposed to know better, and blah, blah, blah. Being in an abusive relationship, domestic violence, there are so many labels and judgments, and I put a lot of those on myself too. So whenever I get like, just kind of down about it, at least I just try to look at the fact that, my God, I have a chance. Eric Cox was the first friend of mine, the first person I ever knew, like on a deep level. We went to school together, and we were friends, and after we graduated, we kind of went down similar horrible paths and partied together and stuff. But he was the first person I ever knew, like personally, that died from the disease of addiction. And I think he was like 23 or 24. And it's like, my God, it's just like crazy that how little when you're in your 20s and you think you know everything. And so many people, and the last person that I knew, it was just a couple weeks ago, Amber, we went to school together. We were in Girl Scouts together, and she died alone, just, I don't know, like homeless or something. Like it was a violent attack, and I kind of saw the parallels between my life, because I had been homeless and I almost died at the hands of someone obviously unstable. I don't know, it's just so whenever I get like down or start to like cringe, I just really try to have gratitude for how far I've come and having the opportunity to come as far as I have. And also, I try to look at it from the perspective of, okay, so I don't have any faith in like these bogus ass institutions. The way I see it, if it's happening, it's by design, like, period. Nobody's gonna like, I don't know. I don't even want to like argue about it or try to convince anyone of anything. I keep my mind open, but I just try to like stay away from all of like the political stuff altogether, because it is bullshit, and it is like actively harming the planet and humanity. I mean, it's like fucking sinister, when you actually look at, okay, well, who's, causing these problems? Who's the biggest, polluter? Who is starting the wars? Who, is profiting off of for-profit prison? It's the same individuals, sometimes individuals, always the same institutions and just organizations, and like this small group of fucking maniacal, sick people at the helm, like every single motherfucking time. I mean, it's not like hard, but then again, it's like, God, I didn't see it for so long either. I was, a diehard Democrat. Now I'm just like, oh, okay, they're all bullshit. Got it. I'm trying to like move along, but the point is that, all of these institutions I don't have faith in, and all of the vices that I loved so dearly, I don't have any faith in. And it's funny because now that I have no faith in every single like external thing practically, it's like it can't be a coincidence that for the first time in my life I'm gaining this like confidence in myself and love in myself and belief in myself, and I'm not looking for anything self-destructive or anything like, societally expected. Societally, is that a word? It should be. It is now. I'm not looking externally for the answers, and I don't think that's a coincidence. And it's like, my God, no wonder they wanted us to believe in them, whether it's like some piece of shit guy or some piece of shit political party. No wonder they wanted us to believe in them, because, if we're believing in them, we're not believing in ourselves, right? So, I mean, it makes sense to me, but anyway, I just wanted to share that. Have a good night.